right, the time is 6:30 and a quorum being present, I call this meeting to order. First item on the agenda is the approval of meeting minutes. We only have meeting minutes for September 6th, 2023. Are there any comments about that?
Nope.
Not hearing any discussion, could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Next item on the agenda are two continued items. First is agenda item A, continue to March 20th, 2024 meeting, public hearing, abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, Norse Environmental Services, Inc., on behalf of Von Cormier Construction Corp., 1596 Andover Street and adjacent property, assessors map 53, lot 29, DEP file number 305-1194. Could I have a motion to continue that to the March 20th meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Then I'm going to skip down to agenda item D. This is public hearing, notice of intent, Civil Design Consultants, Inc., on behalf of LNG Main Street LLC, 1167, 1177, and 1187 Main Street, Assessors Map 61, lots 1, 105, and 107 respectively, DEP file number 305-1192. Could I have a motion to continue that to the March 6th, 2024 meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right. Now to get to actual agenda items. Agenda item B, public hearing, request for determination of applicability. Michael Russo, 31 Fox Run Drive, Assessors Map 21, Lot 114. Is there anybody here for that? Could you please introduce yourself for the record?
Hi, I'm Michael Russo.
And what is it that you plan on doing?
Putting on an addition on my parents' home.
Parents' home. Can you just walk us through the process of
Putting it on in the back of the house, getting rid of a pool that is there and a deck as well, and adding a addition family suite onto the back of the house.
Are there any questions or comments about this?
So do you plan on putting the pool back at all, or putting
No.
the pool in place?
No.
Okay.
Joe, do you have any questions if there's no further?
My comments are, as the applicant stated, the proposed project involves the construction of a residential addition and deck. I did a site visit on January 25th, 2024. Based off the dimensions of the proposed addition, it looks like it's going to be 63 feet away from the nearest wetland resource area. I did notice just a pile of grass clippings in the wetlands themselves, and I've talked with the homeowner about removing that sometime in the spring after it thaws out. So just removing those grass clippings and placing it somewhere upland.
We actually got rid of it all already.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to see a picture, or I can email it to you, however you want to do it.
Yeah, I'll probably coordinate with you to do another site visit,
Okay.
see for myself, and then
That's
I'll be
fine.
squared away.
Okay.
If the commission were to issue a negative determination of applicability, the following conditions may be considered. So number one is installing and maintaining sediment controls, which shall include of a properly entrenched silt fence and/or stake straw wattles around the area of construction as to prevent the deposition of sediment from construction activities into nearby wetland resource areas. Sediment controls shall be installed prior to construction activity commencing and shall remain in place until all areas of disturbed soil and other erodible materials have been stabilized at the site. So the first one, just installing sediment control, so silt fence, if you're familiar with that,
Yep.
or straw wattle, just around the area of construction.
Yep.
And then the second condition would be, prior to any construction activity commencing, the following must be completed. The sediment control shall be installed by the applicant or an agent of the applicant, and the conservation agent, myself, shall inspect and approve of the installed sediment controls. So prior to construction, installing the sediment controls, I do a site visit, just make sure it's okay, and then you can proceed. That's it.
All right. Before I open it up to the public, is there any other questions or comments from the commission?
I'm good.
All right.
Can I just ask, if I'm looking at the plans correctly, is the garage going to be below grade, or are you adding on a garage?
Yes.
And is that going to be below?
The in-law?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it'll be like in the basement?
So there's garages there now, so the garage will be added on to the 2 garages that are there now.
Oh, okay, okay. So do you get water in your basement now?
No.
I'm just worried about, because it's kind of low there and your
No,
neighbors are high.
I've actually never gotten any water in the
Okay.
basement. But I've actually been talking to the contractor about it. And yeah, they're gonna make sure that there's no water getting into the new garage as well.
Okay.
Perhaps knock on wood. for that one.
exactly.
I was just worried about in the future, people putting in sump pumps and wanting to dump them into the wetlands, that happens a
Yeah.
lot, so.
All right, if there's no further comments from the commission, this is a public hearing. Anybody who would like to get up and make a comment, now's the time to do so. Give you a few seconds. Not seeing anybody get up. Could I have a motion to close this public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Thank you.
Hold on. That was only the public hearing. All right. Could I have a motion for a negative determination of applicability as discussed at this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thank you.
I had a rope ready to go. Now's the time to run, right?
All right. Agenda item C, public hearing, request to amend an order of conditions, VHB Inc., on behalf of Dan Realty LLC, 1695 Shawshene Street, Assessors Map 113, Lot 22, DEP file number 305-1183.
Yes.
Love these little things.
Could you just introduce yourself for the record?
Sure. Is that Jeff Ketteritz with VHB? So we're here with some minor modifications to some approvals we received last fall to the 1695 Shawshene Street. We've also been in front of the planning board as well for a minor modification to that site plan review. Process-wise, we've had some ongoing coordination with DPW, recently resolved the stormwater update comments from them, so we're planning to be back in front of the planning board on their next meeting, the 26th, to hopefully close the loop, but just want to run you through the changes that we're proposing. Quick look here, this is the plan last approved back in fall of 2023. 6,600 square foot retail and office building, surface parking, bike racks, landscaping, lighting, trash enclosure in the bottom right here, and some additional sidewalk improvements along Shawshene Street. Buffer zones starting here in the blue line. So essentially, as the project was moving forward, we went through a VE exercise and are proposing to essentially remove the single loaded parking along the rear of the building. That helped us alleviate some grading impacts. We had a significant amount of retaining wall that's now been removed, and we're grading out with landscape slopes, as well as we had a significant amount of parking that we were okay, still meeting the requirements, but dialing that back. So that was the primary change. You'll notice a minor update here. There is some additional regrading. The property owner is the same for both parcels, and what we're proposing to do is some additional regrading on the adjacent property that lets us remove some additional stretch of the retaining wall along the north side as well. Just a quick summary of those plan changes here. So the middle column, the proposed revisions, is where we currently stand. The one just left of that is what was previously reviewed. So There's a reduction in net parking, but still over the zoning requirements. No changes to bike racks, minor increase in the open space, parking lot landscape percentage. Overall on the site, within the 100-foot buffer zone, 50-foot build zone, reductions of impervious area, about 1/10 of an acre, and real slight reduction to the total disturbance within the buffer zone and the 50-foot no build. So we just have a couple quick overlays just showing the previously permitted design, which is the black, and the proposed design now, just for context on kind of where the limit of work has been updated and what the proposed conditions are. So you can see the comparison there. This is the grading and drainage plan. Since the original amended order of request submission, the one modification we made with DPW was relocating the stormwater management system. It was previously shown down here. If you can kind of see the red outline at the top, we're just doing it in one larger system to the north.
I'm sorry, where are you pointing to?
Oh, I'm sorry, you can't see my cursor. So previously, we had the proposed system directly south of the building in that parking area. That's been eliminated and consolidated into one larger system north of the building there. That was based on some test bits we did with DPW that it worked better with the design to just move everything north. And that's just an overlay of the utility plan. You can kind of see the larger stormwater system to the north there, but no longer along the east side of the building. Landscaping, similar intent as the previous plan. Really the big thing is just the removal of pavement along the back, and that would be a landscape slope down to the limit of work. Trash enclosure was tucked tighter to the building. This is just confirming the movement still work for access vehicles as well as emergency vehicles circulating, so no change to their pattern along the front of the building. Happy to answer any other questions, comments, or information.
The dumpster is entirely closed in, correct?
Correct.
Any other questions or comments from the commission?
I'm just wondering, like, why so many parking spots? Why do you have twice as many parking spots as
We
necessary?
do. And this was talked about very, very often with the planning board before. It's the retail use is for the dispensary license that was issued at this property, and it's a combination of just wanting to make sure that they have more than sufficient parking, so there's no worries with traffic congestion coming to. It may provide some additional relief of the abutting property as well, but primarily just to make sure for the retail use here that there's no adverse impact on the traffic at Shawshene Street.
I was just wondering why the number was so high.
Yeah, the one in Lowell's absolutely slammed all the time, so.
My brother lives down the street. He's
Okay.
not happy with
Yeah, all right.
how busy it gets over there.
Hopefully this will help on a lot of fronts.
Do they have a contracted third party to maintain the stormwater system? The Storm Tech or whatever the design is?
At the moment, no, that's a good question.
Do they have a maintenance plan that can be attached to the order of conditions to abide by?
Yes.
Okay.
So I guess we do have an O&M plan included, but as far as assigning that
Yeah.
responsibility moving forward, we can certainly do
Okay.
that as part of the order, yep.
Joe, do you have any questions or comments?
So the most recent site plans are dated February 16th, 2024.
Correct.
Yes, so those would be the site plans that are referenced in the amended order of conditions.
Okay.
Other than that, I would just add additional conditions onto what already exists in the order, which those suggested conditions would be the operation and maintenance plan provided in the stormwater design memo shall be abided by. An approved SWIP shall be provided, an approved SWIP shall be provided to the Conservation Commission prior to the start of construction. Copy Copies of any reports required under the SWIP, once completed, shall also be submitted to the Conservation Commission. The stormwater design memo will be a reference document in Section A of the order. Special condition number 7 of the existing order was in reference to a retaining wall that is no longer being built, so we would essentially remove that condition.
There is a portion of the retaining wall still exists, so it's been significantly reduced, but there is still a section needed for the north parking area.
Okay. Now we need to check what special condition number 7 is. So special condition number 7 for reference is that the periodic monitoring reports required to be submitted for this project shall include status updates of the retaining wall being built along the eastern portion of the property. So in that case, that condition can stay. That's my suggestion. And then my last comment would be all conditions within the order, unless otherwise specified above or what I just mentioned, will remain the same. That's all.
All right, if there's no further questions from the commission, once again, this is a public hearing. I'll open it up to the public. If anybody would like to make a comment, now is the time to do so. Not seeing anybody rise, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. And could I have a motion to approve the request to amend an order of condition?
I'll make that motion as discussed.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. Agenda item E is an enforcement order for 165 Assel Street, Assessors Map 10, Lot 30. Would you please introduce yourself for the record?
Absolutely. For the record, this is Andrew Tebow with Goddard Consulting. I'm representing the homeowner.
Thank you. And the floor is yours.
Thank you very much.
Can you guys all see this side of stuff right here?
Looks good.
Yeah, that's good. Can you see, Lenny?
Awesome.
Yeah, I can see, but are we supposed to put it over here for the cameras, or does that matter?
Can
I
you-
think they can access
Oh, they
this
can
one.
access, okay.
Yeah, we're good.
He's good, okay, thanks.
Awesome. Yeah, whatever you need.
Do we get the thumbs up?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can you talk into a mic? You can grab
Oh,
that
yeah.
one or sit
Yeah,
down.
I can sit down here and just point to it. Thank you. As stated, just into the microphone now, this is Andrew Tebow with Goddard Consulting, representing the homeowner. First and foremost, I want to thank the commission. I know that this enforcement order was originally issued back in November, and we got involved over the winter and had a few different site visits to get through while we generated a plan here, so thank you for your patience. So since this was issued, we took over and we started with delineating all of the resource areas on this site. The enforcement order had referenced potential impacts to bordering vegetated wetlands as well as an intermittent stream channel. So on the graphic that you'll see here, you'll see on the western portion of the property, that pink line is the intermittent stream, and the blue line coming off of that is the bordering vegetated wetlands. So what we were able to discover is that the stream channel itself was not impacted. There were no impacts to stream, but there were to BVW. Essentially what had happened was, you'll see two main impacts to the property here. Right on this point here, is the beginning of a historic pipe that takes stormwater from the offsite developments and it runs it underneath the property. In the field now, you can see, and photos included in our restoration plan, there was an old metal corroded pipe that took stormwater and dumped it under the lawn and used to be cut before the wetlands. The homeowner had redone that pipe without a permit and had pushed it farther into the wetlands. At the same time, they had cleared and grubbed portions of their lawn and pushed it into both the 25-foot no disturb and a bit into the wetlands. So to start the assessment out here, we did a full delineation. We surveyed the wetland line. That involved digging soils through both the lawn area, the encroachments to find exactly where that line used to be. And then we were also able to use a really high quality aerial from 2021 to find where the limit of lawn was on the site before all the encroachments happened. So what we have shown here is in orange, you'll see the upland impacts, and then in pink, you'll see the wetland impacts. So we have generated a plan to restore both. There was also a civil plan set attached to this. Our engineer has provided a detail. As far as the drain pipe goes, we will be cutting and capping that before the wetlands at its old entry point and removing the old corroded metal pipe. That pipe is certainly extremely important for stormwater. I walked the area over there, and there is a lot of water that comes from the other properties. There was no wetland resource areas on that side of the property, but it's very poor draining. It's steep pitch from the road, so they do have a water issue, and the pipe was important, but we needed to cut it before the wetlands and restore it back to where it used to be. And then to mitigate the encroachments onto the property, as stated, we found where that old limit of lawn used to be, and so we are proposing to revegetate that fully up to that limit. The property itself is very tight to wetlands. That blue line coming down through the middle of the property would be the 25-foot no disturb. So this property previously did have lawn development within the no disturb zone, but not as far as the encroachments had ensued. So what we've done here is propose a full planting plan. It was separated by wetland impacts and impacts to the 25-foot no disturb with species to match of each. I had first given an iteration of this plan that was dated February 14th, and Joe had reviewed that in pretty short order and provided just a few comments back to make sure that this was all streamlined. One of those being that these erosion controls get installed right away. Right now, they're not installed correctly. They're not entrenched under the soil. So that was in there, and then monitoring reports as well were not included in the original. So what we did was we just provided a revised version of our plan dated February 20th. That way you guys didn't have to go and add new comments on the enforcement order. It's all under one approval here. So what we're gonna do is, as soon as this plan gets approved by you guys, if so, the erosion controls will be installed right at the limit of the impacts. They'll be entrenched 6 inches under the surface as they need to be. And this spring, as soon as the growing season begins, the full restoration will take place. And then we will be monitoring the areas for a period of 2 growing seasons and providing you 2 annual monitoring reports on the vitality of it. And we did include the 75% restoration of all the species in that threshold as well. So if you guys have any questions on the plan that I show here, I'm more than happy to answer them.
All right, I'll open up to the commission. Joe, do you have anything you'd like to say while we think?
Yeah, so overall, I really like the restoration plan. As Andrew said, when it was first provided to myself on the 14th, I just provided initial comments, which was basically establishing timeframes, monitoring reports, and when a timeframe for the initial restoration work to be completed, which I kind of said, I just suggested November of 2024, so basically after this first full growing season. But other than that, I think the restoration plan, the plan itself, in addition to the narrative, is really well put together. So what I would suggest is having the commission take a vote to amend the enforcement order to kind of reflect these 2 documents that were provided and have the resident abide by these 2 documents.
So the one question I have is the aged corrugated, you're going to cap it?
So, yeah, so it used to be a metal pipe there that was all rotted, corroded, it was flooding in his yard, and so he took it upon himself, kind of went to dig in there. So they actually have a plastic pipe in there now. The metal pipe is gonna be completely taken off, and the plastic pipe came much too far. The plastic pipe sits roughly at the edge of this little point right here, so it went beyond the wetlands and is actually currently spilling right into the stream, whereas the old pipe stopped prior to that. So we're gonna remove all of the piping that would be within the resource areas, and then cap it, crush stone, plant over it, and then it's within the BVW restoration area, so it'll be covered by native plantings, and it'll infiltrate as it's supposed to.
And when you said cut, cap it, I was thinking, there's no place for the water to go.
Yeah, just before the wetlands, so roughly the same path the old water took, just not letting it dump straight into the wetlands.
Got it, okay.
My understanding is that that pipe is for, like, to help with groundwater, correct?
The groundwater, and then there's also, so from the road up here, there's a steep pitch down the property where
Oh, okay.
water, channelized is a tough word. If there's no stream, there's no wetlands over there, but it does generally move down the site, and then you hit a really poor draining soil on this side. And they have a crushed stone area here where it's been kind of infiltrating under the ground and moving across the lot.
Sure.
Right now, with this not working, the backyard's quite flooded. Water kind of sheets down after rainstorms and really kind of mops up the yard. So there's very high groundwater in the area, but there's also poor infiltration from runoff as well.
And so the other thing I took a look at was the end of that pipe, which is proposed, like you said, to be cut at the upland side, and then I believe there's, like a riprap.
Exactly,
Type-
yep.
Type of thing up to the wetland, so it has some energy dissipation prior to discharging into the wetlands.
Yep, and there is a detail on the engineered site plans that we will be adhering to when we do that.
The other comment I have is just the general strategy of just restoring it back to a previous extent of lawn, I think is fair. So there's that. And then there was, other, so there were certainly other loom added to the yard. So it's whether the commission is okay with, this restoration effort and just emphasizing restoring what was impacted, or if they wanted that permitted separately, or if you guys just think it's okay with focusing on the restoration itself.
I'm comfortable with,
I personally like this.
Yeah.
I don't want to add water, I don't want to strip solids out of that yard. It looks like they've got enough water issues. So, that's my take on it.
That's appreciated. I think that would be helpful. There definitely is a water issue on the property, so I think, and it was a slight grade change, but I think it will benefit the property, and with this stopping right at the old limit of lawn now with the restoration, I would agree that should be, it should be good.
all right. If there's no further discussion, could I have a motion to amend the enforcement order as discussed at this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks for the quick review on this. I appreciate that. I'll coordinate with you once those erosion controls are in, if you want to come inspect them.
Yeah, sounds good.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Agenda item F is public hearing, regulations discussion and for intermittent and perennial streams. My understanding is that we did not close or I did not close the public hearing last time. But if there's any discussion right now, for the public, if anybody would like to get up and make a comment, now is the time to do so. We'll keep it open for a little bit longer. Any discussion from the commission on this? We've already approved the actual regulations, but not seeing anybody get up. Could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
I would suggest making another, re-motioning the approval.
All right.
Of our alteration,
Of,
3-year thing?
I would just-
What we did last time,
Okay, so-
but, yeah.
Okay, so I'm just trying to figure out what we're,
so the motion would be basically approving the regulation that I read off at the last meeting.
okay.
Which we have no plans on changing at this time.
Correct.
So could I have a motion to approve the regulation as discussed at the last meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those not in favor, please say nay.
Nay.
The chair, I'll say nay also, but the motion passes. Thank you. All right, and that's, all right, emergency certification, this is agenda item G, emergency certification, 151 Helvetia Street, Assessors Map 60, Lot 112. Joe, can you fill us in on the details for this?
Yes. So, 151 Helvetia Street, there's a failed Title V back in June of 2023. So typical scenario is that the health department issues an order to tie into the town sewer system. And then I follow up with my own emergency certification. This is just a unique situation where the trench path from the road where the sewer stub is to the residential connection is through a forested area. So there was just additional conditions that were originally added on in June of 2023. But it came to the health department's attention that the work wasn't done as fast as they like it to occur. However, it was still evaluated to be threat to human health and safety or the environment because of it's a failed septic system. So I still follow suit and work in tandem with the health department and followed up with an emergency certification again. So that was issued recently, and I did add kind of better conditions, I suppose, that are referenced in the emergency certification. Basically accounting for any dewatering that's occurring as part of the construction activities. So me going out there to approve of not only the sediment control locations, but also where the dewatering setup is going to be. Just keeping a close eye on the means and methods is really what would worry me most about this project. In addition, removing as trees as sparingly as possible, and for any disturbance that's occurred as a result of the construction, just trying to restore that area as best as possible with vegetative cover, whether that's through plantings or seedings, et cetera. But
So just so I understand, there was an emergency thing, you're supposed to do it within 30 days, they didn't do it. So now you have to reissue another one?
So yes, the permit's good for 30 days for the emergency certification. I work with the health department because if they say this is an emergency, I follow suit with them. So yes, they didn't do it in 30 days.
All right, that's what I'm just trying to figure out is, because I know they normally say, here, you have 30 days to hook up. And this was just kind of slipped.
So the issue they had apparently is that the sewer stub is deep and it's just a lot of water that I guess the contractors that were originally hired to do the job just couldn't handle or didn't want to deal with. But the question that I was faced with is, do I go against what the health department is saying, and does it still constitute an emergency?
Okay, I was just trying to figure out the two, because I see the old one and a new one, and I'm like, okay, well, what?
Yep.
I guess one of the problems was one person wanted to wait for frost, thought it would help. Of course, we didn't have a frost. The water table is extremely high there. It's a real tough
I mean,
job.
it's right next to
That's
the
right.
pond.
9 feet.
Yeah.
the stub.
Yeah, that's right next to Round Pond, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
you can see it in
It's-
some of the background. in
really
some-
close to Darby Brook.
Yeah,
So, funny though, huh?
But
Is this the one that, we saw the bobcat in the woods when you drove
Yeah.
down Helvetia?
yeah.
Okay. Oh, I know whose house it is then, all right.
So has any work occurred yet, or no?
there was an initial like test pit done to see how, like where the water table was and where the sewer stub was. That was done back when the original emergency certification was issued, but no work has been done, like, other than that.
So do they have a new contractor on board that's gonna do it?
Yeah, and I met up with him on site to like kind
You got
of
a
walk
big
the site.
excavator, right.
But for, I mean, for the commission's perspective, I issue this on behalf of the commission, and the commission typically votes to ratify it, so it's still a vote, so you guys can not like, if you guys disagree
I'm
with.
just, from my
I just want to
perspective.
make sure that the work's going to happen in this 30
Right.
days, and pretty much is the septic failed Title V, is that impacting the wetlands since it's so close to the pond itself? Like, at what point, it's been 6 months since it failed, is it getting worse and worse? And
Yeah, they need
just want
to
to make
do
sure the work happens, I guess, within this 30 days.
That's fair.
I'm with Evan on that, we got to get this done.
All right, if there's no further discussion, could I have a motion to ratify the emergency certification?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. All right, any old business, new business, or administrator reports?
No, but just because I stepped out at the beginning of the meeting, A was continued, I presume, and D was continued. Were the minutes approved?
Yes.
Okay.
See?
All right.
We don't need to hold our hand every time.
Trust but verify.
Did we open and close all the public meetings?
I think so.
We need a checklist, I think.
That's what I've been doing today. All right, next meeting is March 6th, 2024. With that said, could I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Good job.